It was the start of a busy day on Sodor. Henry, Boko, and Bear were just talking amongst themselves before starting work.
It had to be scary going out every day, said Boko.
I'm just glad to see you all made it out all right, said Bear.
Then Henry spoke.
I mean, being in the war, said Henry. It wasn't exactly, well, fun not knowing if you would return back to the sheds that night, said Henry. And not everybody came back alive, said Henry.
As Henry continued talking, Boko noticed Edward sadly puffing into the yard. Boko noticed that Edward seemed to be thinking about something, and it was making him upset.
I mean, even Gordon will tell you that. Excuse my intrusion, started Boko. But don't you think Edward's acting off?
He said. Henry looked over at Edward, and his face fell.
He must be thinking about it again,
said Henry.
About what?
said Boko.
I don't really know all the details myself, said Henry. But you might want to ask Thomas. He knows more than I do.
Right,
said Boko. And with that, Henry and Bear began talking about other topics as Boko sat there and thought about what to do. Later that day, Boko was bringing some trucks in from the China Clay Works. He was still thinking about Edward and how he could get to Thomas to ask about Edward. He sat there idling to himself, and then he spied James waiting at the hoppers. Boko thought to himself, and then he had an idea. And then he quickly headed towards James.
Hello, James.
Morning, Boko, said James.
If you don't mind me asking, James, could I take your local passengers?
James stared for a second. What?
Absolutely not. I've been taking goods trains all week, and now that I've finally been put onto a passenger train, you want to take it from me?
James, please,
said Boko.
Fine. But you owe me for this, said James.
Thank you,
said Boko. And with that, Boko trundled off to go and collect his coaches. Soon, Boko was coupled up to his coaches, and he waited for the guard's whistle to blow so he could depart. Once the guard's whistle blew, Boko tooted on his horn and rolled away. Boko soon made it to Ellsbridge and came to a smooth stop on the platform. Well, this is a surprise. Hello, Boko. How have you been? Said Thomas.
Oh, I've been here, there, and everywhere. How's your branch line so far? I heard it gets pretty busy, said Boko.
Ah, yes, it does that sometimes, but us tank engines can handle it, said Thomas.
Well, that's great, said Boko.
Then Boko's face fell. Thomas seemed to take notice. What's wrong? He asked.
You've known Edward for a long time, started Boko.
Have you ever known him to act off when Remembrance Day comes around? Thomas thought to himself. Then he looked back at Boko. I think I know why. Tell you what, the last stone train that leaves the quarry is going to Brendan. I'll ask Sir Topham Hatt if I can take the train there myself, and then me and you can talk to Edward together, said Thomas.
That's a wonderful idea, Thomas. I guess I'll see you later tonight then,
said Boko. Great, see you then, said Thomas. Just then, got to go, Boko. My branch is the most important one on the railway, after all, said Thomas as he steamed away. And a few minutes after that, Boko's guard blew his whistle, Boko tooted, and went on about his way. And true to Thomas's word, later that night, he pulled into the quarry to pick up the stone train. He backed down onto the train and was coupled up. And once everything was ready, the guard blew his whistle, Thomas let off a blast, and steamed away. Good time as he steamed along the line. Finally, Thomas pulled into Brendan, and he came to a gentle stop right next to Boko.
Ah, there you are. You made it, said Boko. Let's get you refueled, and then you can rest at the sheds with me and Edward,
said Boko. And with that, once Thomas was topped up with coal and water, him and Boko made their way to the sheds. Edward was sitting in his shed, sadly to himself, when he heard a noise in the distance.
Hello, Thomas. And hello to you too, Boko. What are you doing here, Thomas? How was the branch line? Said Edward. Oh, it's doing wonderful, Edward, said Thomas. I trust it's been the same for your branch too? Oh, yes. We've been making do with the extra workload, though, said Edward.
The 3 inches were soon laughing and chatting amongst themselves until Thomas asked the question.
So, Boko here tells me you've been acting off. What's wrong, Edward? Said Thomas.
Edward's face fell. He didn't say anything at first. Then he spoke.
Do you remember the Brandon Bay Blast, Thomas? Said Edward.
Yes, of course I do, said Thomas. Edward sighed. And this was the story he told. It was late one evening, and Edward was heading to the docks with some supplies for the Navy ships. Finally, Edward pulled into the docks. He saw Clive shunting and came to a smooth stop next to him.
Oh, Eddie, you've made it, said Clive.
Edward didn't have the breath to respond. Don't worry, I'll take your train from here. You go have a rest in the siding, and I'll... Suddenly, everything happened at once. Clive started to follow, but it was too late. Clive! Edward's driver called out. I'm so sorry, old boy, but now we've got to make a run for it. We're being followed. And sure enough, when Edward looked up and saw the plane, he began to speed up. Edward rocking it down. As they raced through Wellsburg, Edward's firemen suddenly yelled out, "Get down!" And both men took to the floor as a shower of bullets rained down upon them.
Edward was out of breath, but he kept on going, panting as he rushed along the line. As Edward rushed into the tunnel, he couldn't hear the planes no more. Meanwhile, some of the engines had been shunted at Nafford because of the air raids. They were worried until all of a sudden,
Edward came to a smooth stop on the platform. I went to help with cleanup the next day, and there was nothing left of Clive, finished Edward. I'm so sorry, Edward, said Thomas.
You know, started Boko. I think Clive would be very proud of you, Edward.
Thomas beamed at that. He's not wrong, Edward. I like to think Clive was smiling down upon you right now. Edward looked at the two engines and then gave a small smile. You both are right. I just hope he's happy wherever he is, said Edward. And with that, the three engines began talking and laughing and chatting amongst themselves into the night. Very proud of you indeed, my old friend.